I read something the other day that was like, if you just take some protein with your coffee, then it's fine.
I know. I've also heard that rumor.
But I've been drinking every morning before my coffee and it hasn't helped.
No, exactly.
So,
Maybe you're not having enough.
Maybe I'm not getting, maybe it's not the right kind, you know? Yeah.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
Hello, welcome back to Overstimulated. Today I'm joined by fabulous comedian Allie Pearse. Allie is a stand-up in Toronto. She has also been a writer for Letterkenny and just got back from a tour across the States. And she is definitely overstimulated for sure.
So overstimulated.
Yeah. When was the last time you remember being like so jittery and so just like, I need like a dark room to chill out?
Oh, every day. Every day. I literally I love coffee so much. And I did this like crazy nutrition plan recently because I went and got my blood work done and it was like so spooky.
Really?
Yeah. And the nutritionist I worked with was like, you can't have coffee for a month. And I was, so she cut every fun thing out of my diet. But when she said no coffee, I had a meltdown.
Oh.
And so I've had it back for, maybe it's been like 2 months now. And I have I'm supposed to have one a day and I have 8 back to back. I'm like shotgunning them just to feel something.
Get them done.
Yeah.
That actually is the girl equivalent of shotgunning. When you poke a hole in the bottom of a pumpkin spice latte and just deep throat that. Just
it.
Get it in there.
Deep throw that PSL.
Controversial opinion. I think pumpkin spice is overhyped and
That's actually not controversial.
It's not. I feel like as a white woman it is. Like the white girls are no luck. I hope I can still get Taylor Swift tickets.
I'm just going to tell you something. I've never had one. So
really?
I can't have an opinion on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Allie, you haven't lived.
I know. I feel like I'm not like other girls. I'm different.
She's so unique. I love it so much. Okay, so you're giving up coffee. Are you back to
No, I'm back.
You're back. You're back
and
on
the
coffee.
other day, I had literally so much coffee back to back, and I was shaking and twitching a little bit. And then my fiance came and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine." I'm okay. And he was like, maybe you shouldn't have that much coffee. And I was like, oh, and sorry, who are you? Who are you? And what are you doing in my house?
You may be the love of my life, but I don't think you have any medical credentials.
You have no authority in this relationship.
Just let me be jittery and spaz out if I want to.
Yes.
I read something the other day that was like, if you just take some protein with your coffee, then it's fine.
I know. I've also heard that rumor.
But I've been drinking cum every morning before my coffee and it hasn't helped.
No, exactly. Maybe you're not having enough.
Maybe I'm not getting. Maybe it's not the right kind.
Dosage.
You know? Yeah. Oh my God, that's hilarious. So you mentioned you have a fiance.
I do.
That is so exciting.
I know.
I
know.
When did you guys get engaged?
We got engaged in March.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the story? How did it happen?
Yeah, it was actually quite, I think, funny and sweet. Maybe we'll see. Okay. It was so I was on tour. I was doing a tour with Letterkenny Presents. So they were doing like a Letterkenny, I don't know, themed. It wasn't really themed. We were just doing regular stand up. But anyway, so I was traveling kind of all over North America. And then Tasso, my now fiance, had just been I don't want to say interviewing, but meeting with different production companies because he's a producer. So he was he's a director. Should absolutely know his profession. Was meeting with a producer. Anyways, all of this to say, he came to LA when I was there to have a meeting.
Okay.
But then timed it out so that we would be there at the same time, which was really sweet.
Yeah. Especially when you're on the road for so long and then you can
3 months
meet up.
apart. Yeah, it was really, really sweet.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of funny because we had rooftop access to this beautiful pool at the hotel that he was staying at, not my tour bus, which had a toilet that you are not allowed to shit in.
No.
Yes.
Yes,
queen.
that's so glamorous.
I know, it's so glamorous. Me on a bunk bed with a 40-year-old man.
I'm shocked that you didn't want your fiance to stay with you there.
I know.
Hey, can you move over in this single bed?
If that. Yeah. So we're hanging out on the roof and I'm like, oh, this is, we had 3 hours together, truly. It was such a quick turnaround because I had to fly to Seattle. And so it was so fast. And he was like, let's go back to the hotel room. And I was like, for what? For what? I know we haven't seen each other in a while, but this is the sun and I like it and I want it. Anyways, long story long, we go back to the hotel and I'm in a panic mode because I'm like, oh, I have to roll all my t-shirts perfectly back into my suitcase and get ready for my flight. And he's like, come lie on the bed with me. And I'm like, why? Like I was being so annoying.
Yeah.
Anyways,
You're in business mode.
I was
You were
in
like, I'm
business
working.
mode.
I can't shift gears.
No.
I've already had 3 coffees today. I literally
Yes.
just shit myself in the pool earlier.
Yeah, slamming coffees.
Yeah.
And then he was being like really sentimental. He was like, I missed you and I love our life together. And I was like, oh my God, like what's happening? Like, are you terminal? Like what is going on? Yeah. Cause he's so sweet, but he's not like overly sentimental, I would say. And then he pulled a ring out and he was like, I want to do it forever.
Aww.
Yeah, it was really sweet. And then truly, I kid you not, 30 seconds later, his alarm went off and he was like, well, I got to go to a meeting. And he left.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That's actually my worst case scenario for a proposal because I know like as soon as I get engaged, I want to have sex immediately after.
Yeah, it was not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Wait,
not
so
the
then
case.
how long was it again until you saw him again after that?
Like a month. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then tell me, do you think this is a bad omen? He got in the elevator to go to his meeting and then the elevator like stopped. And he was stuck in the elevator for like 5 minutes and he thought he was going to die. The lights went out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I actually think it's a good omen.
Okay, you don't have to explain. I believe you.
Yeah. No,
I'm just trusting
that's
that.
that was 5 extra minutes he really should have been spending with you,
Absolutely.
his new fiance.
Thank
that
you.
was just the universe's way of telling him to get fucking
get
his priorities.
Get your priorities in order.
Yeah. Who comes all the way to LA for business?
Yeah.
Gets engaged and then still does business.
Yeah. Bye.
That's rude.
Yeah. I'm
you
actually
should
not going to marry him now that you mention it.
That's enough grounds
It's
to be like,
over.
sorry. Yeah. It does if you're watching this. Like it's done.
Sorry.
Like, that's so funny. That's amazing though.
Yeah,
How
it
did
was
that
very
feel
sweet.
afterwards of like still like because you're also in like a very high pressure situation in your
Yeah,
career
yeah.
of like doing this like cross continent tour.
Yeah,
And then you're also
yeah.
like in the back of your head and everyone's like congratulating you. Like what did that feel like all at once?
It was honestly so lovely. And it was funny because like when I was in the Uber on the way to the airport, I had like taken an extra day because we had a day off between shows. And so the guys that I was traveling with, they were already gone. Like they were already in Seattle. I was meeting them a little bit later. And they were roasting me about something in the group chat. And I was like, you can't bring me down because I just got engaged. And then they were really sweet to me. And yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice.
So you had to travel alone then for that part.
Yeah. Yeah. Just on a plane by myself. Just like, does anyone care about this? Everyone's
like the flight attendant's like, do you want more Diet Coke? I'm just like, please, like,
please,
anyone,
yes.
Just like really like doing everything I can. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
really fun.
Thank you.
Are you into all of like the wedding planning situations? Like,
okay, here's the thing about me, and it's that I am like so incredibly type A. Like I'm extremely type A. But when it comes to something like this, the minute I have to take responsibility for the planning, like I used to be a logistics person as a profession.
Oh, okay.
But when it comes to the wedding, I'm just like any minor detail, I get so overwhelmed and I'm just like, no, forget it. I don't want to do it. So I've planned nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not really into it. I thought that I would be and I'm not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're like clearly you have a skill set to
Yeah.
plan a wedding? Is it like maybe you need to like trick yourself to be like, I'm gonna pay you for this project?
I think it's because, and maybe I've sort of like theorized this out loud a couple times, but I think because I'm the center of attention all the time with work. The idea of being like, when people are like, it's your special day. I'm like, every day is my special day, bitch.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like I went to a few bridal stores and like they really, it's a production. And I felt so uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Not to like throw shade, because I think like some people really love it and I love that they love it. But I don't know what it is. It's like I get like panicky. But then the idea of doing nothing also makes me sad.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah,
I definitely
yeah.
want something. I just want someone else to do it for me.
Yeah.
But I know I've heard of wedding planners, not interested, don't want to pay.
That's so funny you mentioned that. You're like, I'm the center of attention all the time. I actually feel bad for girls who don't get to be the center of attention all the time. And then you get like one day and then it's over.
Yeah.
Well, okay, maybe you get like a few days because you get like your wedding dress day.
Yeah.
You get like a bachelorette. And then like you never get to be the center of attention again.
It's crazy.
It's a lot, right?
I know. It's crazy. I maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was also funny because I was helping Tossa with a pitch the other day for a commercial, and he was like, what are like a bunch of things that happen for girls when they're like planning the wedding? And I was like, oh, there's a bachelorette and there's an engagement party and then there's like your bridal shower and then there's a wedding and then there's a honeymoon. And he was like, sorry, what?
Yeah. And you need like new dresses for all of them. And sometimes multiple dresses or situations for just the one thing. Yeah.
It's wild.
It's a lot.
You're in the thick of it right now, right?
I'm in the thick of it. Yeah. Because I turned 27 in May. And so I'm just at the stage where like it's starting to happen and like love all of my friends, but it's like just kind of going through. And then I'm looking, the men don't have to. Like they have like a bachelor
They have a bachelor party and they can rent a suit.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also like even how people structure those situations. Like I feel like at least like the women I'm friends with, like they're obviously lovely people, but like we have like very like wide networks of friends. And so it's like a bachelorette is like 8 people, right? And like we're all like almost like fighting to who loves the bride the most. Whereas like any dude I've ever talked to is like, so like my one friend from high school who's cheated on every girlfriend he's ever had and like hits babies, like that's my boy. And like him and I are just gonna go fishing. Boy. Yeah, exactly. Like, nobody else gets me like he gets me. Yeah. Like I would die for him, you know?
I know, it's so wild.
Yeah, and it's like it's funny, I think especially with the like all the pieces of it, it becomes like so steered away from like the couple joining their lives together and into this like it not always, right, but like it can develop into this like thing that's like outside of like what it's actually supposed to be about.
I know, everyone's like do whatever you want for your wedding. I'm like, okay, but everybody else wants me to want something else. So what?
Yeah. Are your families involved? Like, are they?
I mean, honestly, I think they don't really care.
Yeah,
to be completely frank.
Because you guys have been together for 5 years, you say? Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is I'm like, why do I have to buy everybody dinner? Buy your own dinner.
Yeah.
Why is I can barely buy my own dinner. How come I have to buy dinner? You guys do it.
You don't have to buy.
You want to come to the party so bad?
Yeah.
Contribute. Famously, people do contribute. They famously bring you a gift.
But you gotta cash out that initial fee.
It is kind of crazy to me. Like my best friend he just got engaged as well. And like, it is funny to talk about this with him because he's like, you do have to think that you almost have to like do the math of what people are going to give you. I'm like, that feels so icky.
Yeah.
Doesn't that feel weird?
It does feel weird to like put everybody in a spreadsheet and be like, well, you make about this, so I feel like you'd give me this much. Like,
okay, can we also talk about this? This never occurred to me, and maybe I'm just like a dud, but I have a friend who went to a wedding recently that was like really swank, like really, really swanky. And so she was like, well, I'm giving them money based on the type of wedding that they're having.
Oh.
And so I was like, well, what do you mean? And she was like, well, because I know that they spent more, I'm giving them more. And I'm like, that's not your responsibility.
Right. That was like, their choice to ball out on their wedding.
Isn't it? Yeah. But apparently that's like, I don't know, maybe I'm way off base here, but like she was giving them, I think like $225 per person, like her and her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's like all my savings. It's just gone to somebody's
lucky
wedding.
You to have that set aside, that little nest egg.
Is crazy though.
She has a big girl.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good for her. It must be nice. Are you planning to do like a proper ceremony? Are you going to do a bachelorette? Are you going to do a shower? Like, you're not subscribing to any of these things?
I'm not. I know. I don't want to be like, I don't know. I'm like, what would we do? I'm not fun anymore.
Right.
You know, like I'm 35. I'm like, I just want to stay home and watch Selling Sunset. Does anyone want to come over? That can be the thing.
Yeah, you can bring your own snacks because again, I'm not providing food.
No,
we don't have enough money.
No, I
we don't have money
like
for that. Yeah. You want some stray pumpkin spice lattes
that
are half drink. You can have those, but
no, I think bachelorettes can be really fun. They can be really fun. I do think that there's like, especially with women, there's like a lot of financial implication.
Yes.
As someone who's never had like a proper job because I've been doing stand-up for quite a long time, I'm like, yikes.
Yeah. Well, and what I think becomes unfortunate with that is it's not just about like, obviously like everything costs money, you know, even going out for dinner with your friends, that costs money, right? But like it becomes like a thing where it's like, oh, but if you can't come or you can't participate in this, then it
you're
means
a bad
something.
Friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like extrapolated to that, which is just like, what?
I know.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a bachelorette where you were like, oh, maybe I'm going in credit card debt to get here?
Yeah. This is one of my best friends and I love her and I love her. I love you. But we went on I was a barista at the time.
Okay.
And we went.
Wait, sorry. You were a barista and you never tried a pumpkin spice latte?
No, isn't that criminal?
That's criminal.
Yeah,
I think you should get fired for that.
I know. Retroactively.
Yeah.
My boss calls.
By the way, you quit, but you're also fired.
I know. It's actually like so.
Yeah.
Bad,
okay, so you're a barista. You're not rolling in it.
No, I'm making minimum wage, and her bachelorette was in the Hamptons.
Oh.
And I was like,
I'll walk there.
I will see you guys there. I'm like biking along the coast.
Right.
I had a great time. I had the time of my life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
This is like the type of restaurant that we were at. Judd Apatow was there with his whole family.
Okay.
And I was like,
okay, so that's a business expense. You were networking.
It's like, I'll have a glass of water and a side salad. Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask you that. What tips do you have for being the poorest girl at the Bachelorette?
Oh my gosh. You just have to be so fun. You have to be bringing the vibes so hard that people forget that you're like, oh, I'm actually not going to be splitting the bill.
Right.
We're actually not going to be splitting it 8 ways.
I just gave you guys 10 minutes of material for free. That should more than cover my share, actually.
It's nuts. I mean, that is such a funny thing too, when you're like so broke and you go to like a dinner with people and they're like, yeah, we're going to get a bunch of bottles of whatever. And it's like, it's so stressful.
Yeah.
I feel
because you're tallying it up in your head and like,
you can't enjoy yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And again, it's not about like the friendship and like being there. No. I don't know. Sometimes like I've e-transferred girls money for trips or bachelorettes or whatever. And I'm just like, don't know where that went.
Have you been on a lot of bachelorettes?
I've only been to one bachelorette. Yeah. And it was an interesting case because it was a joint. My friend who was getting married, her little sister was also getting married that same summer.
Okay.
So they did like a joint bachelorette together, which was like kind of fun. But it was like, I think a bachelorette in general is like mixing of friend groups, but then it was like the separate, like completely like new people that I've like never even like heard of kind of thing from like the sisters' friends. And like, it was fun. Like we all had a really nice time and like, it was relaxing in some senses, but it was very scheduled because then there was like 2 bridal parties planning things for everybody. And like, that's just, for me personally, like that's not the way I usually hang out. No. So like having scheduled activities from like 9 a.m. to like 9 p.m. Like I was really like, love my friend, love you so much, would do it again for 5 days in a row if I had to. But it was like, if I found it exhausting and just like the things of, you know, there was like, obviously I found myself getting really competitive at the games of like, you know, and I'm like, I'm the best friend, you know, and I'm like, why? Yeah. Why am I doing? Also, we're all here because we all love this person and like wish her well on this like next like chapter of her life. Like it's not about me getting like the perfect score on like.
I know, you're actually making me want to have a bachelorette. I want to see who loves me the most.
You actually should pit all your friends against each other. And then there's like, we didn't have any like costumes or like costumes. They were kind of or like the theme, you know, that kind of thing. But it's that wild. And it also wasn't expensive. We did like a little cottage weekend. So like, but it was cute.
Fun,
it was chill.
Yes. That's fun. Cause it's like, you would do that with your friends anyways.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But oh my gosh, I know.
And
like,
I haven't been to that many, to be honest.
Yeah.
Most of my friends have been
You've never
relaxed.
been to a joint bachelorette where it's more than one person. I found that. So I told my friend afterwards, so I'm a triplet. I have a brother and a sister that were all born on the same day. And I told her afterwards, I was like, you know, as a triplet who's had to share like all of my monumental life moments with people, like I would be very selfish about like I would never like
never
get out, bitch. Like I actually don't care. No, but it's so true though. Like bachelorettes can be so much money for people, and I feel like there's always like one girl you're transferring all the money to, and I think it's funny when sometimes it happens. Well, I'll show you this TikTok of somebody explaining how you can turn a bachelorette as a maid of honor into a multi-level marketing scheme, and I think we need to normalize that.
Go.
Just a word of caution for all other maids of honor out there who are gonna like hold on to everyone's money for the bachelorette trip. Maybe don't be that one, because you can't understand how fucking uppity and anal everyone is about their money and how they can't see the bigger picture. Like people just have no idea, because I realized I had $8,000 in my account from all the bridesmaids Venmoing me. And I was like, am I gonna let this money sit in my account? Or am I going to bet this on horses and maybe double it, maybe even quadruple it, quintuple it? And then instead of having to go to Nashville, we could go to Dubai. We could go to Mykonos. And then that's my present for my friend, the bride. I don't really care about these other girls. Kind of relevant. Anyway, so one of the girls gets knocked up. She can't go on the trip anymore. And she's like, hey, could I have my share back? And I'm like, not until Peter Griffin, that's my horse, competes. And she, oh my God, she freaks out. She's blowing up my phone. What do you mean? What do you mean? And then this little worrywart, she tells all the other bridesmaids, and then, they're all in the group chat. What do you mean? What do you mean you bet all the money on horses? I didn't bet all the money on horses. I bet all the money on Peter Griffin, a horse who's got the strongest legs this county's ever seen. We're gonna get the money back. We're gonna get the money back tenfold. We could maybe send this little baby, this little bastard, to college. And it's gonna need a good college with a mom who doesn't understand that you gotta make your money work for you.
Oh my God.
Maybe I could raise the baby.
Oh my God.
Would you do that? Would you just say, everybody, come to my house to watch Selling Sunset? It's $100 entry.
Yeah, except
And
no
you
one
made
would
it-
ever trust me with their money. Everyone would be like, I'll give it to you when I see you.
Totally. Yeah. So
That's
you're
very funny.
you're not good with money, so that's why you're not having a bachelor.
I'm not good at anything. No, I'm not. I just like, I don't, it's so funny. I don't know what it is. Like, I never even considered having one until you literally just asked me.
Okay.
That's
Sorry,
really what it is.
anxiety unlocked. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I never thought about it.
You didn't go to your friends' bachelorettes being like, I'm gonna make all you bitches
No.
pay me back.
No, I know. And it's funny because like I do know anytime I've been at a wedding, just being like, oh, well, one day I'll do this. And then like, it'll even the score.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in it, I'm like, I don't want to plan anything.
Right,
Are you
yeah.
guys nuts?
You're like, I
no
don't-
way.
Yeah, yeah.
No way.
Yeah. What tips would you give for any brides to be?
Well, I haven't done it yet.
You seem like you're managing it really well by not doing anything. And
I know.
really
It's not so funny. I'm going to be one of those people that's just engaged till they're dead.
Yeah,
Probably.
No, but I think that's hot. That's sexy because like fiance,
very
it's like
chic.
you guys, that's
That's
modern.
very chic.
Something about it sounds like European too. I think because it's like a French word, and
Yeah.
like fiance is like you guys are fucking. You guys are going on nice, expensive holidays. You're like feeding grapes,
Yeah,
to
it's
each
true.
other in the afternoon every day.
Here's what I will say. If you are engaged, you are a bride to be, you can have a bachelorette, you can have an engagement party, you can have a bridal shower, all of which you're going to have so much fun. You're going to get gifts. You're going to look gorgeous. You don't actually have to get married. You can pull the plug at any time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, that actually sounds, because I don't know if I want a husband, but I would really like a wedding because I actually
Have a
would
wedding.
love that attention.
Have a wedding.
Did you see that? There was one woman
Yes.
who married herself,
Yes,
and then did you
and
hear
then
she's divorced
Yeah.
herself?
Yeah. She's
She's like,
prioritizing herself.
Yeah, I love that. I'm also like, I feel like every time I've like gotten into a spiral of depression, I'm like, I would love to divorce myself. Actually,
Yeah.
like, how can
I would love to
make
take a
this
break
voice-
from her.
I'm
Give
exhausted
me
by
a
myself.
break. I know.
Yeah.
No, I really am. Like sometimes, do you know morning pages? Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Wait, is this a wellness moment?
This isn't wellness.
Okay, great.
So there's this book called The Artist's Way. I don't know why I whispered it. Anyway, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Now that I've said it to you, you're going to hear about it everywhere. You're gonna be like tapped into a thing now. But it's this book that's like how to rediscover your artist when you lose your artistic whatever. Anyways, part of her thing is doing morning pages, which is like 3 full pages of journaling nonstop. You don't like lift the pen off the paper. You write whatever's in your mind.
Oh,
and
like
it's
right when you wake up?
As soon as you wake up, and it's meant to like unblock you so that you can all the chatter's gone. And then you can just like move on with your creative self. When I tell you, all I do is if anyone read my morning pages, they would throw me into an asylum and be like, shut this girl up. Boring and self-absorbed. It's just, it never ends. It's
Okay,
like,
but do you ever make any of that into content or into jokes? Like,
I must, because this stuff is coming from somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, that's actually inspiring.
Sure.
Just put it out there like nobody can read the morning pages.
Yeah.
I haven't.
I actually told my fiance, I was like, I have one instruction in our relationship, and it's if I ever die, you have to burn all my journals. Like, I don't want any of. I'm dead serious. Like, I told him, I was like, if I have a will, and that's the only thing in my will is if I die, all of my journals have to be burned, because the stream of consciousness that comes out of me, I think, is scary. And also it's like things I would never want anyone to know that I think, because I don't
like, can you give us an example of like something light?
Let me get back to you.
Or it could be dark. It could be dark too.
Let me get back to you.
Okay.
But it's like, you know, those things that you're like, it's not even, it's like, you know, some people's journals get discovered and it's like, wow, now we can just put that into a book.
Yeah. That's in a museum someday. Also, but you are a writer and you're an entertainer. Like, your journals if anyone's journals are going to be poured through, it would be yours.
It's scary. It's scary stuff.
You're like, I'm actually going to go back to school. I'm actually going to go back to being a barista just so nobody touches this shit.
Yeah, don't look at it. I was the world's worst barista, by the way.
Old. Really?
Oh my God, yeah.
Like, do you spit in people's coffee?
You know what it was? It's just people would come in and they'd be like, how are you? I'm like, bad. How are you? What are you doing here? It's like, actually, there's a Toronto comedian, Andrew Barr, has an amazing joke about this where he's like, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to butcher it, but it's like, people come in before they've had their drug.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're just like mean to you.
That's so true.
And I was mean back.
Good.
I was mean back.
You were serving cunt right back.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
I was.
That's you were doing Brad Summer before it was.
I was.
Before it was a thing.
I was.
Allie was trend-setting Brad Summer.
Yes.
No, that's hilarious.
Allie
That's
XCX.
That's what you should call your journals, and then just like a bunch of like skulls on them. It's funny because I keep all of my old journals because like in my head I'm like, this is going to be content someday. And I was going through like a box of old just like art projects and like medals. And, you know, I was very accomplished as a young child. So my parents obviously kept all of that. And then it all went downhill around like 14. But like I pulled out like this journal that I wrote when we were on like a family vacation, and like the way I documented like everything that was happening from like my own experience, like it's pretty. And I like was drawing pictures of like me getting into a fight with my brother and like
pictures.
I was being an artiste. It was all like stick figures, but it was just like there was like one line where it's just like my brother's doing this, like classic, like can't wait to like hit him with a pillow later. Like it was like all my like thoughts just like planning out of like classic, like didn't even know like that the goats were not sheep or like just ridiculous.
That is so funny.
Yeah, I need to turn that into something.
This is not funny, but I'll tell you anyways. I was also going through stuff at my mom's house and I found a journal and it was like 8-year-old me and I was like counting calories.
Oh,
isn't that dark?
Yeah, but
counting
also
calories.
Relatable. Like I like, you know, like from a very young age, like we're told of like,
why are you counting calories when you weigh 40 pounds?
Right. Yeah.
You don't even have all your bones yet.
No, it's right.
Let them grow.
Yeah, your like boob grows in one afternoon and you like gain 10 pounds and you're like, yeah, it's over.
And one at a time, by the way.
Right. Of course.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
At a time.
Yeah.
Did that actually, which was bigger first?
I can't remember. I think but I mean, look, I don't want to spread rumors about myself. It wasn't like that for a long time, but one came in first. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. She was like, hey, I'm ready to be looked at.
Just boop. Yeah. Walking around a little lopsided.
Yeah.
I didn't have that experience, but I did have like, I'm better. I'm actually better.
Okay. You didn't have that experience.
But there was like it was like the summer between like grade 2 and grade 3. Like I grew like as wide as I was tall. And it was the worst September of my life. Like it was just like
people weren't chill about that?
No, people were very much not chill about that. And it's funny too, because that was like, I was in like, you know, grade 3. And then I remember I was maybe in like grade 5 or grade 6. And I just had like grown taller. Like I basically had these hips at 10 years old, but like not the rest of everything else. Beautiful hips, but like on a, like I looked like a little like Nacho Libre at like 9 years old.
I
like,
hear that.
Like this little wrestler.
Yeah.
And I remember like so distinctly, like it's like these kind of, I guess maybe like core like trauma memories, but like we're in the computer lab. And when I think about this, like I can smell like, you know, like a computer lab, kind of like the gross, like hot technology. Yeah. Like I can smell that. And like, I remember, like again, I'd like grown taller at this point, and it was like the first day that I wore kind of like a slim fitting shirt to school. And one of the popular girls was sitting with all the popular boys, and she like went like this to me.
Oh my God.
And I went over and I was like, oh my God. are they going to ask me to like hang out with them? This is going to be so cool. And she was like, Hilary, we were all just talking about how much we love your body. Like, you're not too thin and like, you're not too fat. Like, you're just so perfect. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go sit over there and play on Microsoft Paint now.
Oh, but wait, but was she being sincere?
No, she was being sincere. Like she was, but it was like this thing of like sitting in like a group of like 6 kids and like this was the topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Like I'm just trying to go to school and live your life. But it's like these, and it's like, but even from such a young age, like that other girl, like noticed
to like say something.
Yeah. And it's crazy because like nobody ever like individually sits you down and tells you about these things. But like we're all just so like aware of it and like so insecure.
I know. It's weird. I know. It's funny because even like right now in this moment, I'm like, is this part of me weird? Is that part of I'm like, I'm 35.
Yeah. When does this? Yeah.
Like,
You've been doing this since you're 8 years old. Yeah.
I guess when you say goodnight forever.
When I get into the ground,
in the grave,
then I'm so skinny.
Finally peaceful. Gonna be thin as absolute hell, and I can't wait.
I know, but that's like so true too. It's like what are we rushing for? Or like what are we doing all this like dieting and like extreme things for?
I know. I'm very like I've been listening to all these podcasts. Oh, I'm convinced that I'm perimenopausal.
Oh,
I talked about this actually at your show.
Yeah, you did.
Do you remember? Okay.
Last week, yeah.
So, Hilary, let me tell you a story. I go see this very witchy, she would hate that I said that, but osteopath.
Wait, can you tell me her name? Because I might go to the same one.
Her name is Sandy.
Okay, I go to one named Marinella who makes me draw tarot cards every time I
mine's okay, here's the thing.
I shouldn't say makes me, I happily oblige.
Yes,
like I'm into it, yeah.
And actually she's not like, mine is not witchy. She's just like, the information that she gives me is so scary accurate that I'm like, but it's because she's really good at what she does.
Wow.
And so I'm like, you're a witch. Instead of being like, you're really talented.
Right.
You're a really talented woman.
Powers beyond this realm, clearly. Like what? Like give us an example.
Okay,
of like,
well, so this is, okay, so here's an example. So I'm listening to all these podcasts about perimenopause because my mom went through menopause in her early 40s.
Oh.
So that's like really young to go through it. And then, but she told me, she was like, well, your dad died at that time. So I think that it's because I was so stressed. So this was like the narrative that she had believed. But then I talked to my aunt, her sister, and she was like, oh no, I also went through it in my early 40s. So I'm like, oh my God, it's in the family.
Yeah.
And I'm 35. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm perimenopausal. And the reason I thought this is because my period keeps being late, like very late. And so anyways, and I don't know if I'm having kids. So I'm like, am I running out of eggs? Are the eggs dwindling? Okay. So I'm talking to my osteopath about this. I'm like, hey, my period's very late. It was like 7 days late last time. And she's like, oh, and she's like doing the math in her head. She's like, oh, you're just realigning with the new moon.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, wait, I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, I mean, women don't really talk about that, but it happens all the time. Like we realign with new moons all the time.
Wow.
And I was like, be for real. Like I can't. And then, so when I was at your show, I was like, riffing about that
you got
on
your
stage.
Period on stage.
No, I was like anxiously awaiting it because whatever. And then I was looking at a calendar. I'm like, oh, my period's late again. And my osteopath had been like, watch when the new moon comes, you're going to get your period. And I was literally like, I don't know, whatever, 1700 woman looking up at the sky being like, is the moon full yet? And it literally, the full moon started yesterday and I got my period.
You, I actually think might be a witch.
I'm literally witching.
Yeah, you're witching right now.
Isn't that crazy? Well, I'm like, well, if the moon is controlling the ocean, why can't she control my pussy?
Right.
Why not?
Yeah. It's all the water's flowing.
It's all just liquid.
Yeah, to be clear, it's like a very liquid place. Probably actually the wetter than the ocean, some might say.
Yeah, it's a very liquid place if things are going well.
Yeah. But it's like, I also wonder, I'm like, if the moon can control my period, like, can he also like sauce me a couple more grand? Or
can
like
you put something in my bank account?
Yeah.
Can you plan my wedding?
Yeah, why can't the moon? Why isn't the moon on ChatGPT? Like they should really be outsourcing.
Do something.
Yeah. That is crazy.
Yeah.
So you're thinking you might be, do you think that you guys would have kids? Like,
I change my mind every day.
Okay.
Truly.
Yeah.
I change my mind every day. I'm like, I love my life. My life is so great. And all my friends who are moms are such good moms. Like I don't have any friends who are moms who I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have done that.
That's
all
good.
of my friends who are moms are like, the best. Like I would love to be raised by them. I'm like, their kids are going to be amazing kids. Like I have full faith in them. But I'm also like, that looks hard.
Yeah.
It looks hard. And here's the biggest thing that I will say. The thing that holds me back, it's not the like sacrifice or the difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
It's truly like, will my identity remain intact? And can I still really actually do my career?
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of really what it comes down to.
It becomes scary. And I think like probably for all women, not just people, obviously like what we do is like very unique where like you're traveling, but it's like, you know, you didn't spend all these years either hustling or for some folks like going to school and working just to not have these accomplishments pay off, you know? And like in kind of this phase of career is like when people start either like building up or like slowing down or transitioning to something else. And so like, not to say if you have a kid and then get like a different job afterwards. I've also heard stories of like moms like taking time off with their like to have their baby and that, and like thank God we live in Canada and like actually have a half decent maternity leave. And it's not like, you know, right after you have the baby 2 hours later you go back to work like it is like in the States.
I know.
But like you have a baby on your lunch break and go back real quick. You're like, sorry guys, like clock it back in. You're
actually late.
You're like, you dumb bitch. Why you selfishly went to go have a baby? That's insane. But I have heard like stories of like, women taking their time off and then being like, you know what, I actually realized like through having the space away that like that doesn't really align with what I want to do anymore, and then like pivot to something else. But I think like particularly in entertainment and like stand-up, there's really so few examples of like I don't actually know if I can really even think of any really female stand-ups that like are moms and are like happily, or seem to be at least happily like married and are still like being successful.
I think like someone who's a great example right now is Rosebud Baker, because she's like literally touring with her baby.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that's like such a testament. But she also was at a really good place in her career.
Yeah.
Not to say like, I think she's amazing. So it's not to say that wouldn't have been the case whenever she did it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I started doing this kind of late.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I feel like, oh, if I'd started this when I was like 20, I'd be 10 years into my career. And then I could.
When did you start?
I was 28 or 29.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, like you start to look at it and you're like, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. 27? But you were in like your later 20s. Like
I was in my later 20s.
Yeah,
I actually think I was 27. I might be lying when I said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's like a great time for me to do it in my life, because I was like, oh, I'm like, I kind of know who I am a little bit more. I had something to say. I was like, everyone's journey is so different with stand-up. But now I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm just starting to find some semblance of a voice, you know, and like some, I don't know, some momentum, I guess.
Yeah.
A little bit, but also
it's
not
funny
really.
because even the like examples, like Rosebud Baker, for example, like her husband is also a stand-up. And so I'm like, is that like, I also don't, have you ever dated a comedian? Would you?
Yes.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have.
What was that like?
How do you think? Yeah, I think it's a rite of passage. Have you?
I've never, no.
Well, I would say just keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing that. I have been on a couple of like dates with comedians, but it's like they've been like, oh hey, like
name them,
drop them right now. Drop
actually,
their ads.
don't give them
What I was gonna say
credit.
is like, this isn't giving, like, it's not, this rest of the story isn't going well for them, because it would be stuff where they're like, oh hey, like, do you want to hang, or do you want to like write jokes together, like, do you want to like grab a drink, have dinner? And I'll be like, sure, and like my dumb ass is being like friends, and then I get there and they're like, oh, also can I pick you up? Also I got you flowers and I'm gonna pay for the whole meal. Also, do you want to come back
what comedians are you dating? The comedians that I've dated are like, sorry, a car implies a driver's license.
That's
so
right.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he can read.
And also, that was not my.
That was not your experience with
No, I was in like a full relationship with a comedian. So that's different. Yeah.
And so you started dating them when, like, after you
pretty
were
much
doing
when
comedy?
I started doing.
Okay.
I kind of like, I met them right away.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, you're also just like, oh my God, new circle.
Also, like, I'm sorry, but it's so hard when you're a comedian not to date a comedian, because you're like, dating is, when you're a comic, I think specifically a woman in comedy, it's hard because you're trying to, if you're straight, you're trying to meet men, And then you're like, hey, I'm going to go to a bar with a bunch of guys and you're not invited and I'm going to talk about you on stage in front of people and don't come.
Yeah.
It's like, it takes like a certain type of man to be like, oh yeah, that's fine. I don't care. I'm not insecure. Like I don't give a shit.
Or even like, even if they are in the room of like, there is automatically it is like a masculine thing,
totally,
like, like thing to be like commanding attention, being funny, right? Yeah. And so like seeing that, it's like, oh my gosh, like do they not think I'm like pretty anymore, or like do they not, like that even takes like a certain like,
it is like a specific type of person that can handle it.
Damn, how did you find your fiance?
We met on Tinder.
Shut up.
Okay, so when I got out of that relationship, the one that I was just talking about, I was like, I am going to hook up with everyone you've ever met. I'm never gonna be in a relationship again. I'm gonna be single for the rest of my life. Like that was my MO.
Okay.
And I think it was like a month later, like I'd maybe gone on like one other date and been like, and I met him. I remember being like, I have a show till 11 and I can go to this bar because it's near my house. I was like, I was being such a brat.
You were like, I have time from midnight to 1 a.m. for you.
And then that's it. And I was like, I was being such a brat. And then Allie XCX, famously.
Yes, you were being Allie XCX.
I was. And I remember like got to the date and was like, oh, he's so cute. He was so different. I also kind of had a read on him already because we had a ton of mutual friends.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
We'd never met. But anyways, so I had like.
And you worked in the same like industry as well,
like
right?
adjacent. Yeah, because he directs comedy. And then, but I was being crazy on the date. I was saying anything, things that I would never say to anyone. I was just like, oh yeah, and this, like just nonsense. Like, and like things that I wouldn't ever share or want people to know because for some reason I was just like in this mood where I'm like, I'm never going to see this person again. Like, I didn't get like, a vibe immediately like this. And you know why? And this is such a testament, I think, to dating culture and like drinking culture and stuff. Like I do drink, but my fiance does not drink at all. And it's not because he has a problem. He just doesn't like it. And people don't get that. And I was not. So, but at the time, he ordered a cocktail, I think, to like be part, to like, this is the vibe. We're at a cocktail bar. So he ordered a cocktail. He ordered a hot toddy in August. How did I not know that this man doesn't drink? A hot toddy in literally August.
Either that or like he's 100 years old. And like he needs just something to warm him up because he's like his bones are chilled.
So we're sitting there and then the waitress comes over and she's like, do you guys want another drink? And he's like, no, we're good. And I was like, okay, he hates me. He's ending the date early. That's what I thought. So I was like, whatever, I don't care. I'm next to my house. He paid for the drinks. I don't give a shit. This is fine. And then we walked out. I was like, okay, bye. And he was like, wait, where are you going?
Oh my God.
And I swear to God, Hilary, that's when the date started.
Wow.
And we sat outside for like an hour and we were just like chilling and hanging out and there was no alcohol. And it was like, I like really hung out with him.
Right.
I was like talking to him for real at that point.
I like that.
Yeah, it was really sweet. It was really sweet.
Because you got that like initial signal of like, oh, okay, he actually does want to spend like
totally
a bit more time with me.
It totally caught me off guard.
Well, and it's funny too, because I think especially when you're in that like mind space of like dating, of just being like, not even like you're being self-deprecating of like, no one's ever gonna love me back, but you're just like, you know, like this never happens. Nothing ever works out. Like, why would this one work out? So you're just kind of like
anticipating that at all.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then like, I think we went on our second date, like I don't know, 3 days later or something, and then it was off to the races.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I never would have expected that
and
when I first met
Tinder.
him.
Shout out Tinder.
I know, Tinder.
That's crazy.
Can you believe?
Yeah. I met the guy that I'm seeing. I guess he's my boyfriend now. Actually, I don't know if we can launch on the pod. I might have to bleep this out later. I don't know.
Launching on the pod.
Sorry.
I am so excited about this.
Scary.
By the way,
so scary. But I also met him on Tinder, and he also doesn't drink. And also, like, same thing. Like,
are
just,
you dating my fiance?
Yeah, I'm actually like, it's gonna be one awkward
I
fucking
want to see
wedding.
a picture.
Are the wedding photos? It's just like us both in white. Like,
I'm actually having a bachelorette party. You're organizing it. It's just you and me.
And we're gonna fight. And only one woman's gonna survive that weekend. Crazy.
No,
but like,
we would leave him together.
That's right. And we would go start a new life and with no money because we both. No, actually, he would need to finance everything. Like, is he down? Like, No, but I met this guy on Tinder also, and
it's almost like low stakes, right?
It is, and I think on the last episode we were going through Chantel's Hinge profile,
yes,
and I said it there too. But worth mentioning again, for me, I think having more information about people through either an app or social media. I think for me, it I start creating an idea of who someone is, which is absolutely not who they are. Spoiler alert. Sorry if you thought social media was real.
No,
I'm so sorry to break it to you.
I'm sorry to say.
Somebody had to. But I feel but with Tinder, you're just okay, I literally have 5 photos and a sentence about this person.
Yeah.
I actually don't know them.
Yeah.
And so then I feel that allowed me to go into you go in with a more of an open mind.
Totally.
But also, what was I gonna say? Oh, I liked our first date was we went to the ROM, the Royal Ontario Museum, and we just walked
cute.
around. But I'm gonna call him out a little bit here because he the entertainer in me was really impressed, but it felt a bit rehearsed. I was he's done this before, but I was intrigued.
On a date?
Yeah. It felt something about it felt I was this is a move.
But I'm not mad at it.
I wasn't mad at it either. Again, the entertainer in me was that was a good bit.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what the next bit is.
Yeah, he was
I'm excited.
He was I've been here.
Yes.
I know the lay of the land.
Yeah.
I
This
know
is an
what
environment where I'm
exhibit
gonna thrive.
gets things popping.
Yes. Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
go see the bones.
Yeah. It was very. Yeah, he's look at this dinosaur.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever seen that like this. But I appreciate too that it was a Saturday afternoon date.
Yeah.
So didn't interfere with my comedy
and
schedule.
no pressure.
No pressure too. Yeah. Just
no
very
pressure.
relaxed and you can actually I think we were just walking around. I also was incredibly overstimulated at the Ron famously because there was children screaming.
Crazy.
There was people running everywhere. There were
it's a
things. There were
lot.
smells. There
It's
were
a
a new person.
Yeah.
And so it was afterward, similar, sat in a park afterwards. And, you can actually talk to somebody a little bit more. But it's also funny too because at the similar to you, it's I feel things happen when you're just kind of bug it. I don't like this. But
100%.
Our second date, Allie, I literally was he was oh when can I see you again? And I think I was okay, well I'm busy the next 2 weeks, but I'm going to the Toronto Island tomorrow if you want to come. And he was okay. And came.
It's amazing. That's amazing.
And I brought all my weird ass snacks.
Yeah.
And I was okay, I need to eat some protein and some fiber here. So do you want some? I was I'm having my day. You can join if you want.
You are there if you want to be. Yeah. I know. I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah. And it's so nice to I think connect with somebody, especially after you've been fucked over for a lot. Have you've talked about this on stage. You have been cheated on.
Yes.
What was that like?
I've been cheated on. Okay. So this is what's actually kind of funny about the okay. From the top. Okay.
Yeah, give us the whole story.
It's kind of a weird situation. So I actually think that I've probably been cheated on more than I know.
Haven't we all?
Any more questions? But so before I had a very serious relationship. I talk about this part on stage. When I was in my early 20s, I was dating this guy. We dated for oh my God. It's funny because in my mind, I'm it was years and years, but really from top to bottom, it was probably only 3 years.
Okay.
Which is a long time. It's significant.
Especially at that stage in your life where you're you're 21. That's
totally
10%, over 10% of your life.
Exactly. So I think I met him when I was maybe 23 or 24. Anyways, he had never... and it's also funny how I do not care if I put this guy on blast. I literally don't care at all. So we met, we started dating. He was living at home.
Okay.
But this is the thing about him is he was very driven, very focused. So he was living at home because he was saving money. And then that's what he did. He moved from his mom's house into a place that he owned.
Oh, wow.
So but he immediately was how do you use a washing machine?
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
How old is this man at this point?
He's 25.
Oh, no.
Maybe.
Oh, no.
He was literally wait, who makes my lunch when I leave?
Oh, God.
And I was
wait, were you living with him?
So I wasn't officially living with him, but we were pseudo living together.
Okay.
And part of him, when he, I went and helped him find the place that he ultimately bought. The intention was always you will eventually live here, which I did. I eventually moved in with him, but it was jarring to be oh, I'm mommy. I'm literally mommy now. It was so spook. Anyway.
Yeah. And you're already had this barista job. You're already employed. You didn't need to be mommy.
I did not need to be mommy. No, I actually had a big girl job at the time.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's progressively been going downhill. In case you haven't noticed the thread, the younger I was, the more I had it together. And so, but because he really did, like, he had a vision and he was very focused. Put a pin in that. So we're dating. But you know, as a woman, when something is off. I think actually just in general, people like, they know.
The moon tells us.
The moon is like, hello.
Your period
is coming. And also, where's your boyfriend? Check his phone. So anyways, I always had this like weird, there was like multiple things that had happened that I was like, that's off. And this is so, okay, I'll spare you the details because we'll literally be here all day. But there was like, he went to Vegas with his friends and this dumb ass man is showing me photos from his trip.
No.
And he's in a bed with another woman. And I'm like, are you so, but then am I so stupid because I didn't break up with it? And he was like, oh my God, I know it looks bad. We were just hanging out. So of course, like, I know my brain hadn't fully developed yet. Cut me some slack. Okay.
Your prefrontal cortex was not online.
We were still working on her.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I believe you. You're on this crazy trip. There's girls in the hotel room. Nothing physical happened. Okay, sure, whatever. I believe you. But then it's so funny how like, in every instance with this guy, it's like he was his own demise. So now fast forward, we're like trying to buy, I also have a joke about this, but like we're trying to buy a couch for this apartment that we live in. Have you heard this joke before?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
So we're living in this condo. We're couch shopping. This man cannot make a decision by himself. He can't do anything by himself. He's useless. Okay. Needs a woman there. Can't survive.
Yeah, did you ever like wipe his ass? Like, sounds like he needed
I can't
full
talk
mommy.
about it on camera.
Okay, fair enough.
That's where I draw the line.
I respect that. That's a good line to have. So you're looking for couches.
We're looking for couches. And then one day I'm just like, I can't be there because I have it. Like, this was a day when I'm like, I'm working, like I can't go. I was like taking time off work. I was doing so much to like be there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you just go to this one store by yourself? And he was like, yes, I can. I actually think he went with his mom, TBH. He goes to the store. He's like, I think I found a couch. I feel good about it. He shows me a picture. He's like, I think I'm going to pull the trigger. I feel good about it. I'm like, okay, great. Fast forward like a week later, he's like, let's go see a movie. My phone's in the other room. Actually, I'm sorry. We hadn't actually moved in together yet. But basically we're living together.
Yeah.
And he goes, take my phone, look up movie times, hands me his phone. Great. Normal. He gets a text from this woman being like, hey, it was so nice hanging out with you. Like blah, blah, blah. Let me know when you want to get together again. It was like very flirty. There was like a winky face. And I'm like, hey, stupid, what's this? And it was the woman. It was a woman that he met at the furniture store.
No.
Yes.
No.
And his reasoning, I'm like, sorry, what's going on? Long story long, he's like, I met this woman, then I went out for coffee with her.
Why?
He says he was flirting with her to get a discount on the couch.
Couches are expensive. And you were like, thanks, baby. Like, you're looking over.
And I was just literally like, I was like glitching. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, we have like a slut couch. Like, what is this?
You're
like,
right.
What is this? I don't understand. Like, it was so crazy. But then of course what happened is I was like, were you going to try and hook up with her? Like, what is happening?
Right.
And he basically was like, I might have cheated on you. And so he hadn't, sorry, to be clear, he hadn't.
Okay.
And then,
But he would have. Is
but
what
he's
he
like,
was confessing that.
So
yeah.
we break up, blah, 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 blah. Long story, even longer. We eventually get back together.
No,
I know, I'm embarrassed.
Allie.
I'm embarrassed. Wait, it gets so much worse.
No, okay.
We buy a house together. We move in together. We buy a house together. Then I go to a wedding, actually, and I meet a guy, this random guy, and I laugh with him. And I'm like, oh, I've never laughed with my boyfriend before. And I have this revelation that I'm like, I need to break up with him.
Because you like a man made you laugh and it made your pussy
and
clap
I mean,
a
like,
little
it
bit
wasn't like nothing happened between me and this guy, but I was like, oh, I realized I'm like, I'm not happy in this relationship. So we break up. Years later, he is like, still DMing me and like he has a girlfriend. Like he's so all over the place, this guy. Anyway, I feel like I'm going on way too long about this.
No, this is so fascinating.
Okay. Because like that's a whole other story in itself. Like anyway, whatever. Wow. We buy a house, but now we own a home together. So it's like a disaster trying to split things up.
Of course, yeah.
And he comes to he shows up drunk at a show.
Oh my God. At your
but
place
he has
of
a
work.
Girlfriend.
Oh my God.
Because he was like, anyways.
Did you know he was coming or he just like appears
I didn't know
there?
he was coming.
Oh.
I didn't know he was coming. And all of a sudden he was like hash all this stuff out from the past. And he's like,
oh my God, that's so disrespectful.
Yeah.
You're like, one, I'm working. Also, I need to get on stage in like 10 minutes.
Also,
go fuck yourself.
Away.
Yeah. You literally saw this show like what on your Instagram or something and was like, I'm just going to come to this location.
Yeah.
Ew, that's so creepy.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then he's like, he's so wasted. And like, and he tried to kiss me.
No.
Yeah. And then I had this like weird moment where I'm like, wait, if you're cheating on, I'm like doing the beautiful mind. I'm like, if you're trying to cheat on your girlfriend, then who were you cheating on? And I'm like, did you ever cheat on me when we were together? And he just admitted it. He was like, yeah, I cheated on you like a bunch.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And he's like, but kiss me.
What the fuck?
I know.
What type of like brand of mental illness is that? Like I genuinely wonder. Like,
oh my God, I don't know, but
obviously there's some mommy issues.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, but his mom was so sweet.
I'm sure she was. I'm sure she was.
I think it was daddy issues. TBH.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Bad relationship with his dad.
I actually think I know 5 men who have a good relationship with their dad.
Yeah. It's very rare.
In the world. Yeah.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare.
Allie, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What was going through your head when you thought you wanted to get back together with this man?
Oh God. I don't know. I think I was like really blinded by my feelings for him. And I was just like, oh, low self-esteem probably. Who knows? Let's not worry too much about it.
We'll leave it in the morning pages. We'll leave that in the morning pages.
We'll leave it in the morning pages. We'll leave it on the page.
Yeah, just let it burn.
Yeah, just let it burn. But I honestly think it was such a blessing to go through that with him because then after that relationship ended, I was like, oh, I don't want to date anyone who doesn't make me feel amazing, who doesn't make me laugh, who isn't like a great time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I feel so bad for my downstairs neighbors for the noise and like partly sex, but also because we're howling up in our apartment all day long.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I do feel bad for anyone who lives below us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like, that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want to have a good time.
Well, and it's so crazy because I feel like, you know, when we think about like friendships, like you wouldn't be friends with like a random, like a girl who like doesn't like, you know, isn't adding to your life in some way, isn't making you laugh, isn't like, you know, supportive or like empathetic, remembers like basic details about you. But then like for some reason, like straight women, like we get in relationships with a man and we're just like, oh my God, he doesn't even know my name.
Showed up.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the bar is truly
it's
on the floor.
In the toilet.
Yeah. What sort of work did you have to do for yourself to like get out of that situation?
I started going to therapy when I started doing stand-up. Oh. So yeah.
That's a big curve.
It was like,
I like
a huge curve. Yeah. I actually like went, so that relationship ended and then I had to like, I lived in a beautiful condo. I owned a house. I had access to a car. Like it wasn't my car, but I had access to a car. We were like building a really like on paper, beautiful life together. And then I was like, when we broke up, I had to move into a bedroom in like a 4-bedroom house.
Yeah.
With like walls that were made of crackers. Like it was so like bottom of the barrel. And then but my roommate was incredible. Like the woman that like I ended up moving in with is one of my best friends to this day. Like I started my life over.
Really?
Like fully started over.
Yeah.
Because I also quit my job at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, I quit my corporate job.
The moon was speaking to you.
She was like,
at that time.
yeah. She was like
full
juicy,
transition.
and she was like, let's go. Yeah. And then I started doing stand up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible, Allie. That's like,
Yeah.
I think it takes so much courage to like, first of all, because like obviously we all know, like I had a similar experience in my early 20s, lived with a boyfriend, and like,
oh wow,
imagine this. As soon as we started living together, I started getting panic attacks for like the first time ever. I literally went to the walk-in clinic at the doctor.
Oh my God,
and was
your
like,
body
hey,
was speaking to you.
Yeah, and I was like, I've been like taking more edibles than usual, so like maybe that's weird. Like, you know, my heart's something's not right. And like the doctors were like, yeah, we checked everything. Like, here's a pamphlet for like anxiety resources around town. And I was like, oh, okay. But then of course, like looking back on it, I'm just like, oh, I did not feel comfortable.
So wild. The body keeps the score.
Yes, it does. I've read that. It's a great book.
Yeah.
This is now a book.
I quote it all the time. Never read it.
Never read it. Never read it. It's a dense read. It's a dense read. It took me like 3 months. Of
you read
like,
it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not better than me.
Yeah, no. Both my boobs grew in at the same time, and I've read the body scarf. Yeah,
I'm not a freak, and you're not better than me.
And I might be marrying your fiance also. So like.
Yeah, my boobs grew in, and they stayed so small. They just did. They were like, oh, you don't like us? Fine. We're not finishing the job.
Right. You're like, guys, where are you? You need time to clock in. Like, what have you done? Are you on your 6-week maternity leave? Like, what's happening? Please come back.
Come back.
Yeah. But it's like, it's so like, I remember, like, I was just going back to, you know, starting over like a new life. And like, especially when
how long were you with this person when you moved in?
Almost 3 years.
And how old were you?
I met him when I was 20. We were friends for like a year before we started dating. We started dating when we dated from when I was like 21 to like 24.
Yeah.
But like part of myself like had to die in order for me to like actually leave that relationship.
It's so hard.
Yeah. And like,
it's
especially
so
when you're living with somebody, like uncoupling when you live with somebody is the worst, because then it's like the exact things you talk about, right? Like not only are you like, shit, I'm like heartbroken, I've lost my partner, friend, etc. But now I need to go fucking, I literally, Allie, after like similar, I moved because it was during the pandemic when this happened, like early in the pandemic.
Oh my God.
And so, well, okay, here's the real tea. We were like, the relationship was like not really that great. Yeah. And the solution at the time was to leave the town we were living in and move in with his parents. Hot tip, if your relationship's on the rocks, moving in with your in-laws is not a solution. And like, this is no at all shade to like him or his family. His family was like
a lot of
so
pressure.
lovely. Yeah. And it was like, and I think that's like a testament of like how much I like, you know, believed in like him and that we could like work on things. And I was like, okay, you know what? Like, we'll do everything like on your terms, go back to your turf, like everything. And like, we'll like figure this all out kind of thing. And like, I think I was there for like maybe 2-3 weeks. And like, of course, everything was worse because not only is there still like these underlying real issues in your relationship, but now it's like, I'm like hanging out with your mom 24/7 and you're like, you know, and now I'm in a space where like, again, not any shade to them at all. But it's like, this isn't my comfortable,
like, and like, you don't get like a breather.
Exactly,
like you can't go like fart in a corner by yourself.
That's right.
You're just like, I have to be on all the time.
For sure. Or even like, I can't even go like I'm thinking like, oh, I don't want to go like watch TV by myself because like, are they thinking I'm rude and don't want to hang out, but I'm also tired and like would just do this if we were like at home.
Yeah.
And so like
God,
we ended up
stressful.
like we ended up breaking up and I was going back to school to do my master's. So had like no money to like pay for rent really. And so I ended up moving back in with my parents. And during the time that I was like living with this man and dating him, my parents actually like downsized from like the home I grew up in to like a smaller place with like not enough bedrooms for like the children that they have, as like most people who age do. And I lived in the basement with like exposed cinder blocks. Like it was,
and was
so
that good for
grim.
you?
It was so healing. It was like the best time. No, it was like so sweet. One of my really good girlfriends, actually the one who's Bachelorette that I was just talking about, she very kindly gave me like you know those like in like 2012 those like art like deco like the hanging sheets with like the like I don't know what you call them the mandala.
Yes, the mandala.
Yes, yeah, exactly. She like gave me one of those and was like, here for your bedroom. And I was like, thank you.
Thank you.
So
and you
much.
can like see the cinder blocks through the fabric.
Like I'm on there with like a little nail, like trying to like set
honestly,
it up.
I tell people all the time, like I love a breakup. Like I know they are horrible, but it's like for some people, and I actually think the pandemic was good for that for a lot of people. Like spending that much time together either showed you that you wanted it or you didn't.
For sure.
And it's like it'll fast track a breakup.
It will. It will. Yeah. And that was exactly the situation. And like I was like also like, you know, now was working at an office environment and was like no longer leaving the house every day to go to for work. And like, I also typically pack a pretty busy schedule.
Yes,
And like,
yes,
when
you
I'm like
do.
obviously into somebody, like I'll accommodate them
Yeah,
and like,
you'll
or
make
they'll
time.
come along for
Yeah.
parts of that, whatever. But
come
it was
to the
like,
island.
yeah, but with him, like I knew, like I was noticing that it was like, oh, why am I busy every single night and I'm at work all day? It's like, 'cause I also don't want to be home alone with you.
Are you guys still friends?
No.
Yeah.
No, not like, you know, I personally, like, I'm not friends with anyone that I've dated.
I'm not.
I actually think they should die immediately after we break up. Like that would actually
Good night.
feel, yeah.
Move
yeah,
to another country.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm friends with anyone that I've dated seriously, but I am pretty good friends with someone that I used to hook up with.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was like, were there romantic feelings involved, or was it purely?
Yeah, for
just
me,
like,
yes, but I do not think they were reciprocated.
And it was like- so he's like, so now you're friends.
Yeah, we're friends.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I could never. I think also if it was like a situation where like I wanted it and they didn't, like
To
I'd be
be
like,
I know, to be fair, and I feel like I'm going to regret saying this, and maybe I'll ask you about it.
yeah.
But it is a comedian, so
Okay.
that's partly why I was like, I don't have a choice because I see them.
You see them. It's a coworker.
Yeah, it's like a colleague situation.
Yeah.
So-
And that's easier. That's actually respectful for the
easier.
whole than to be
Yeah.
weird and like, yeah. No, it's like, I don't know, like if I like bumped into somebody I'd previously dated, like I wouldn't be like, oh my God, like I'm not gonna speak.
But
to
I will
them,
say this:
but-
my fiance is very good friends with his ex-girlfriend.
Oh, how do you feel about that?
I am obsessed with her.
Really?
I love her. I'm literally going to her birthday this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, she's amazing.
Wow.
She's so cool. And like, I think they're just like, I think both of them agree. Like, I mean, they went through the ringer together, but like, I think I'm not speaking out of turn saying that they were just always meant to be friends, but they got caught up in this like relationship,
right.
I think. And like, but have so much love and respect for each other. But I think it's very rare.
Yeah.
I think it's very rare. I like love their relationship.
Yeah.
And I don't think it happens very often. But also my fiance was always just like, here's all of the information, all of it.
Yeah.
So like I never felt weird about it.
Yeah.
And then also she's so warm and like welcoming and is also in like a beautiful relationship herself. So
That's
it's like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I think there's
yeah.
room for it,
Yeah.
but not with my exes.
Not for me.
Not for me.
Well, I famously have had shit
Petty
taste.
for that shit.
So, like,
yeah. Well, that's the other
Like,
thing.
yeah.
It's
Well,
like
then
she's an exceptional taste
Right,
of
yeah,
an ex.
yeah.
I'm like, you couldn't pay me to hang out with any of my exes.
No, I think they're literally sitting in the dumpster right
Yeah.
now. Like, could not tell you where they are.
Together.
Yeah, together. They're all holding hands.
And they're like, isn't this place nice?
Yeah. They're like, oh my God, am I moving? Like, I wonder if I could fuck for a free couch here. Like, this is a cute little spot.
Is that deranged?
That's crazy, Allie. That is so crazy. Okay, final comments before we wrap up.
Yes.
What if you could just, if there's like a girlie out there listening to this and they're like, oh my God, I think that's me. I think I'm in that like relationship.
Like being
First of
cheated
all, like,
on?
yeah, maybe.
Or like in a bad
Yeah,
relationship?
or just like they're not feeling satisfied, but they're like, you know, maybe we're like living together or like something like that.
Oh my God.
I like what you said earlier about breakups. I think everybody should go through
Yeah.
at least like 2 or 3 breakups in your life, big ones.
Okay.
Like you haven't lived. It's like
I
going to
could
Paris.
not
You gotta
agree
do
more.
it. Like, you gotta do it at least a couple times.
That is amazing. As someone who just went to Paris for the first time.
Crazy.
Who just went to Paris for the first time. And also, by the way, was like, Tasso and I had just started talking about getting married. Like we just entertained that conversation. And we went to Paris and we were like at the Eiffel Tower. I'm like, he's gonna propose.
Duh.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Even though I had been with him every waking moment since we started having that conversation. There was no chance that he had bought a ring.
Like, you can
But I
get
was like,
rings on Amazon.
You found a
for
ring
sure.
and you're going to propose. And
Yeah.
guess what happened instead? Oh, I stepped in dog shit in my brand new Hokas and then it stunk like dog shit the fucking rest of the afternoon.
That was the moon being like, don't get greedy, bitch.
She was like, are you crazy? Give the man a moment.
You literally just broached this topic of conversation. Okay, so break us up. We're going to Paris. What would you say to somebody who's like, shit, how do I get out of this? How do I reinvent myself? Like I have this like underlying feeling something's not right. I have like dreamed of like a different life that's possible for myself.
First of all, you're right. Like that's one thing that I wish someone had told me a long time ago. Is like when you think something's like when you like your gut is always right. Your gut is always right. And like honestly, there's 2 options. You either do it now while your tits are still high and mighty, or you do it later when men have like clogged arteries and have to go for triple bypass surgeries. When do you want to do it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I honestly think it's like people are so afraid of starting over because they're like, I'm too old, or I'm too this, or I'm too that. It's like, babe, no. Whoa.
Yeah.
You can do it at any time.
And you're also, by waiting and delaying it, like you're only getting older.
Yeah.
When you're doing, like,
and
that's your concern.
And also,
but
like, as I'm saying that, I'm like, okay, and also like age, whatever. It doesn't matter. But it's like, I think people get so caught up on the age thing. And it's like, I'm supposed to do this by this age. I'm supposed to do this by this age. Whatever. Forever and ever and ever. And it's like, okay, you could die tomorrow. Like, do you want to do it next to a person who like whose breath bothers you? Don't.
No.
Get out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
There's always a better version of your life if you want it. I really think that's true.
Yeah. And you got to journal and do your morning pages and look at the moon to
You
get
gotta
there.
look at the moon. You gotta look at the moon.
Everybody tonight, go look at the moon.
Go,
to
it's a full
see
moon
it.
tonight.
Is it? Oh, great.
Yeah, it's
well,
full moon tonight.
I feel like this will come out in
Then it'll be
hopefully exactly a month, and then we'll still be in full moon.
It will be, by the time this episode comes out, it will be a waning moon.
Ooh, what does waning mean? Are we ovulating?
I don't know.
Okay,
Probably.
Science hasn't advanced
I'm
that
not
far
that
yet.
good
There's no way of
as a
knowing.
witch.
My witch skills end here.
Not there yet. I'm still a beginner.
A beginner witch, pro comedian.
That's right.
Allie, thanks so much for joining us. Where can everybody find you? Is there any like thing you have coming up that you want to talk about, get people in seats for?
I'm going to be on tour in October. All tickets can be found on comedyhereoften.com. I'm going to be opening for Dave Merhej and John Doerr. I'm really excited. They're both brilliant. And then social media, you can find me at Allie_Pearse on all platforms.
Incredible. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today,
for
Allie. This
having
was
me.
so much fun. Dump your boyfriend, look at the moon. Okay, thanks for joining. See you next time. Bye.